All right, we're back here about the brisket, and one thing we haven't done yet is we haven't added a beer to our brisket, so we're gonna pour that in there. And thank you, Julia Childs, because when you put a little beer in the brisket, you gotta taste it too. Pretty good. Okay, and then we have root beer. Something about the acid in the root beer just does a wonderful job on the meat. So we're gonna mix that in there too with the beer. Gives a good foam. We're gonna bring that brisket back out that we'd put in the deep freeze. See this? No, we had it in the refrigerator, not the deep freeze, refrigerator. I don't know where I'm using the word freezer. Okay, so we bring it out, and it's been marinating there for 2 hours. Looking pretty good there. So we're gonna come in here and give some beer to it. It's hard to get the noodle in there.
Now you could have done this earlier, right?
Yeah, it's probably been great to mix that stuff instead of water, to mix it with the beer and the root beer. However, not too late. Probably better to inject it at the beginning, because if you inject it, something, maybe the acid or the beer or something does a wonderful thing on the meat. Whoa. Wow, it's mostly suds there. Bringing it up, the beer and the root beer, yeah, beer and root beer. I was watching my meat, it starts getting bigger and bigger, and you don't want to pop it. That will cause problems. I'm not going down deep enough, and it's bringing me up a bunch of suds. That meat's going to be so tasty and tender. Can't wait. This happens to be Mother's Day too, so happy Mother's Day to all these people out there. They're mothers. And mother's a great gift. Always there for us. Always taking care of us. I think this is about it. Okay. And I'm just going to take this extra and just dump over top of it. Probably been a good thing to have that earlier. Now this is our meat side. It's going to face down. Still got the pepper and all the flavoring we put on there earlier. And now, just a second. Remember our cookie sheets? We're going to put those cookie sheets back underneath here, because we don't want our meat sticking to the foil. So I'm just going to do it like that. So it's not touching, but the heat's going to boil that beer and root beer and all the seasoning and flavors. It's going to boil it and make it flavor the meat as we're cooking. Now, talking about cooking, I'm going to have to get a napkin. Okay, talking about cooking, we have a probe here, and it just happens to work. You can buy this. I think I bought mine at Lowe's. It's called Ready Check, and it has 4 probes. And here's probe 1. That's my pit, and I want my pit at 275. And then my second probe, which is this one here on the second side. See, it says probe 2. So I can see probe 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't have a probe 3 and 4, but all I need is 2 things. I need to know what my pit temperature is, and I need to know what my meat temperature is, because there's 2 reasons. I want to cook this thing at 275 for 4 hours, or when the internal meat temperature gets to 160. That's just the perfect time. When it gets to 160, then we're going to take this out and we're going to wrap it in butcher paper. We don't want to use foil, because foil just gives it a steam bath and kind of boils it. We don't want to boil it.
Unwaxed butcher paper.
That's correct. Unwaxed butcher paper, because you can buy butcher paper 2 ways. You don't need to have the wax on it. So you buy unwaxed butcher paper. Try to get 36 inch. I made a mistake and bought 18 inch. And so you'll see in a minute, in 4 hours, why you don't want that. And then a couple things you want to do. You want to get this thing at room temperature. So it's just sitting here at room temperature. And follow me, and we'll start getting this pit thing ready. Now, this is a Cabela's pellet smoker. I like it because it has a temperature deal here, so I can turn it on. And also, today, I'm going to be using pellets that are pecan. No particular reason. Oak is good, pecan is just what I have available, so we're going to use pecan. And we're going to fill this thing completely up like we have, because it's going to take most of this, because we're going to cook this thing for approximately 8 hours, or till the meat temperature gets to be 203. It's a very perfect temperature. Magic happens at that point in time. So we want to heat up our pellet grill before we put the meat on there. So we're going to turn it on here in a minute, but I just wanted to show you here. I add water. See, that's just plain old everyday water, and that keeps everything hydrated when it's smoking and stuff. So it's important to put this hydrating fluid in there, water, because otherwise it just gets to be really dry in there, and that's no good for the meat. So, okay, we're going to turn it on. Shut the deal here. I'm going to turn it up to 300. I know I said 275, but my grill's about 25 degrees off. And to keep it at 275, that's what I have to do. So what I'm going to do is take this temperature probe, come over here. This is the probe that tells that down there, and it's a little dirty. I probably need to clean it off. But I put that probe right here. That way, it's reading the same temperature as that. All right. So as soon as this gets up to 275, we'll bring our meat out and put it on there.